Hi, my name is Helen and I own and run Fairy Dust Cake Shops in the Blakemere Village in Cheshire. Now, I've been following a couple of posts on Facebook that say people have been saying they've had real trouble with their Pro Froster. So what I was going to do today is show you my technique on how to use this. This is it. I got it from the States. You probably, if you've tried and failed, this will probably give you a few handy hints to get going with it again. It's my most favourite piece of equipment ever, and I couldn't do without it. So, what I'm going to do first is the Crumb Coat. Now, this is my chocolate ganache. Make sure you're in shot. And it's, as you can see, it's quite runny at the moment. I had it in the microwave for a couple of seconds just to warm it through again. So it's really quite runny. That's the kind of consistency we want. So what we're going to do is throw some on the top of the cake. Now this cake is a double layer sponge with vanilla frosting inside and raspberry jam. It's been in the fridge for about 20 minutes or so, so it's really firmed up now. It's not tacky to the touch, and it's nice and firm to work on. So we put our chocolate ganache on the top, and this is basically a crumb coat, exactly the same as you would do if you're doing with buttercream. So what I'm going to do is just push it all to the edges like that, and then start working round the sides as well. There we go. So just working around, making sure that all the gaps are filled in. Not too bothered about looking neat at the moment. As I said, this is just the crumb coat, the very base coat. So it's just tying all those loose crumbs in beneath the chocolate layer. And this spatula is an offset one. It's really handy for doing the side of these things. So got it basically covered all over. Just run it over the top again, nice and smooth. And don't worry about the finish on it at the moment. This is absolutely not an issue. So you can see, but it's spread all over. Now I've just got my side scraper, metal side scraper, standard one that you use for your cakes at the moment. And what I'm going to do is make sure that this is flush to the cake board, up to the cake, and I'm just going to run it around the sides. Again, exactly the same as if you were doing your buttercream base. Give it a bit of a tidy up over the top like that, and again, there we go. So that's all it is. Nice real skim, real thin layer all the way around. And now that's going to go into the fridge for about 20 minutes, half an hour or so, to firm up, and it'll have a bit of a tap to it. And once it's got to that sort of feeling, we'll go on with the second coat. Okay, so we have our cake. It's been in the fridge for about 20 minutes or so, and if you can see, it's really firmed up now. I mean, it's only a very thin skim of chocolate ganache we've done on this, so it's really firmed up and it's got a bit of a tap to it. So what we're going to do now is our chocolate ganache is firmed up as well. Can you see? It's pretty much, you can stand your spoon up in it. I always liken the texture to that of a good thick peanut butter. So peanut butter consistency, you don't want it dribbling off the spoon. This is absolutely, couldn't you just eat it off the spoon though? Anyway, diet's out the window. So I'm just gonna splodge a load on the top again, like this. Mound it on. Okay, with your spatula, I'm just gonna start smoothing it again, exactly the same technique as we did with the base coat. So to the edge, around the top, and then start working on the sides, pushing it off. And I'm absolutely just daubing this all over. We want a really, really nice thick layer, 90% of which is going to come off again. But for the time being, we want a really nice thick layer that we can start working with. So that's it. God, this stuff's dangerous. You just want to eat it. There we go. So all all the way around. Maybe a bit much. There we go. So tidy it up a bit on the front. There we go. So as you can see, absolutely just dorked all over. So this is where we start playing with the Pro Froster. So as you can probably see, there's little notches that run up the length of it. Let me try and get it in shot. There we go. And a little arm that clicks on. You've got a runner, a guide down the back, and your little notches hold it in place so that you can adjust it up or down according to how tall your cake is. So let's just see where we're going to be. So probably second notch up from the bottom. So what we need to do is just very carefully slide this down to, I reckon, about there. Let's try that. There we go. Yeah, that's pretty bob on. Okay, so what we need to do now is hold this really firm and make sure it's sat flush to the cake board. Okay, because we're not going to be moving this at all. We're going to be moving the cake board. So what we're going to do is make sure that this side is touching the cake like that. Okay, again, don't worry about it. First couple of turns is just to get the excess off, and then we start finessing and get it down, fine-tuned down to a thin layer. So we're going to hold this firm to the cake board and start turning. There we go. Again, you don't need to do it in one round sweep at the moment. Just turn it gently, making sure this is absolutely firm to the cake board at all times. There we go. And get rid of this excess. Okay, so let's do the same again. Make sure that your Pro Froster's firm to your cake board, flush up to the cake, and turn nice and firmly. Okay, now people have this problem with it digging in. Well, so do I at the moment, but don't panic. We can fix that shortly. Okay, so we're about 75% there. Get rid of the excess again. Now what we need to do now is just go around and have a look. Now we can see here that it's just not quite deep enough. So grab a splodge of chocolate ganache and just kind of fill that gap in there. And again around the side, just make sure it's all filled in. Any bubbles or gaps you can see is a little bit of a not so neat gap around that side. Just go around and skim it over, filling in those little gaps that might need doing. Make sure it's all nice and filled in. Again at the top as well, we've got a bit of a gap going on at the top, so just firm it over like so. Okay, filthy hands, chocolate, don't lick fingers, very bad. There we go. So we're going to start again, so nice and firm, and what I'm going to do now is do the whole thing in one rotation. So what I'm going to do is grab the cake board, the other side of the Pro Froster, can't really see because arm's getting in the way, and I'm going to work round in one motion like this. Okay, again make sure that your Pro Froster's firm up to the cake board. Now this, don't worry about the top for the moment, we're going to sort that out in a minute, but you can see now that the side's getting nice and sharp all the way around. Okay, so nice and smooth all the way around. Sort this top out now. So let's give the top a skim like this. Okay, so we're not so much worried about the sides now as the top. So make sure that your Pro Froster's clean. Again, I'm going to do it in one motion. So I'm going to bring it down over. Just try and move it all the way around now. And this chocolate ganache is getting a little bit thick to work with now, but we should be alright. Making sure we're still good. There we go. Again, just give it a bit of a skim over. Like that. This is the problem, you see, that I think people are having. So, yeah, I'm just gonna work all the way around. There we go. Right, that'll do us for now. So this is going to go back in the fridge, and what I'm going to do is bob the ganache back into the fridge, into the microwave, sorry, to get it back to the same consistency that we started with in the first place, just to give it an absolute smooth coat all over now. So it's going to go back in the fridge, and we'll fetch it out in about 20 minutes, half an hour or so. Okay, so I wasn't going to video this because I figured a square cake is a whole different thing altogether, but I'm actually making this in tandem with the round one that I'm doing the other cake with, so I figured, why the hell not? It's exactly the same technique. So first I did the very thin crumb coat over the cake first. Again, this is double layer sponge, chocolate again with the vanilla and raspberry jam inside. So again with the Pro Froster, it's getting messy now. All I've done is a nice really thick coat all over it. I've been around it once and I'm just about to do the tops again. So again, what I need to do is start on the corner and just run the Pro Froster down from corner to corner, get rid of the excess. Okay, spin it, start on this corner, drag it, get rid of the excess. And there goes the bag. And there we go, so that was my other half interrupting my video tutorial. I got shouted at. It's got really thick now. So, again, what we've done, it's got the thick coat pretty much smoothed over. And what I've been doing on the corners is this in shot. It's starting on one corner, pulling it down. Look at that. Look at that edge. It's so pretty. And then we'll do the same on this one. Now we'll go, oh dear, we have a breach. I shall fix that later, no panic. So again, let's do this edge, down to this corner, and then again, there. Okay, so that's going in the fridge, and we'll get the round one out. Hey, okay, so we're back to the round cake, and I have re-microwaved my chocolate ganache. So we're pretty much back at the same consistency we were at the beginning, so nice and runny. And this is just to give it a skim over the top. So I'm just going to do a couple of spoonfuls. Now this is only going to go on really thin, so we want it nice and smooth over the top. And all this does is just fill in now any little bubbles or gaps, or where you might have just pulled the Pro Froster a little bit close to the cake. It just gives it a really super smooth finish. I mean, to be honest with you, the finish that we had before we did this probably wouldn't be too bad. I mean, once you've got your fondant on, it hides a multitude of sins, so your ganache does not have to be absolutely perfect. As long as it's straight and level, which is exactly what the Pro Froster does. If you can't get an absolutely perfect finish, unless it's going to be a naked cake, that might be a bit of an issue if you're just having like the chocolate cake showing, in which case you'd have to have like a perfect finish on it. But this The beauty of the Pro Froster is that you get an absolutely perfectly flat top and a perfectly flat side, vertical side. So especially if you're stacking cakes, tearing them up, the larger ones especially, you know for a fact that if you get a spirit level on here now, that they're going to be nice and flat. Okay, so as you can see, I mean, it's getting thicker as we're working it anyway because the cake is chilled. So what we're going to do now is the final run through. So I've got the Pro Froster, exactly the same setting as it was on before. So what we're going to do, again, same thing. Make sure that the Pro Froster is flush to the cake, and I'm just going to drag it around the sides this time. I'm not going to go over to the top because I want to work the edge. Around the sides. There we go, and that's not bad. So get rid of that excess. So that's not bad, not a bad finish. If you wanted to now, I mean, you could heat this up and just go over it, especially if it was going to be a naked cake and you wanted that absolutely pristine finish. All you need to do is heat your spatula up, or your metal side scraper, or a spatula, whatever you use, and just make sure that all these little bubbles and gaps are filled in exactly. Now this is good enough for me. This is the finish I need because it's going to get covered in 2 layers of fondant actually, because this is going to be an Octopus Prime, so it's going to get covered in red fondant and then tiered on the top. So the top of this doesn't need to be immaculate because it's going to be stacked anyway. So as long as the sides are straight and the top is level, we should be good. So this is going to go back in the fridge. Then I'll clean up the cake board with some just a clean cloth and just some hot water, just to get rid of the excess chocolate, because when you're putting the fondant on, this gets sticky and it makes a mess of your fondant as well. So it's going to go back in the fridge, and I'll grab the scroll one out.